Hello, my name is Michelle Manuel, and I am the mental health specialist.
And I'm Brianna Berry. I'm the Disability Service Specialist, and we are Smart Connection coaches for the YWCA at START St. Louis. The purpose of Smart Connections is to provide caregivers like yourself with tools to strengthen your relationship with your child, as well as give your child tools to become more resilient in their lives.
I hope this training involves a lot of your own ideas and experiences because you are the experts in your own life, as well as your children's lives. We will build relationships with each other along the way, and I hope you will feel safe to share.
Some ground rules for our series. The first one is confidentiality. So because we're doing a virtual training, we don't have to worry about sharing in the group, but we do want you to know that if you decide to share, we will have a website or email address that you can share on and be a part of the discussion. And anything that you share will be confidential, won't be shared with outside sources.
Smart Connections is a program that talks about trauma, emotional issues, as well as things that might cause or bring up or trigger some emotions in you. And if that happens, feel free to contact us at our Smart Connections email, which will be shown at the end of this video. Part of this program is to really dig deep so that we can focus on better ways to handle our emotions, our self-care, so that we can take care of our children better.
Now that we've laid the ground rules, I'm going to quickly go over the agenda for today. This is just what we hope you learn from this series, which is 3 parts. The first part is the car as a brain, the brain as a car. The second objective for today is the importance of managing your stress and emotional states. The last part you'll learn, which is the 3rd video, is how important self-care is. So let's get started.
Self-care is very important, and if we were in a group in person, we would do a few different getting to know you games and connection games. But since we're not in person, we're instead going to do a self-care activity. So this activity is one that all of us can do together, and I am going to bring me and Bree both on screen so that you can do this with us. All right, so we are going to take a minute to relax. You can do this sitting or standing. So what you're going to do is you're going to tense the muscles in your face. You're going to hold it, then release it. You're going to tense your shoulders, hold it for a minute, then release. You're going to then tense your hands, your arms, and move your way all the way down your body. So your core, your legs, your feet, and then release. And then you'll take a deep breath.
Today we will focus on understanding your brain and how it reacts to stress and chronic stress. We'll be discussing how important it is to understand your emotional state, as well as here and throughout our sessions, the importance of taking care of yourself in order to best provide for your families. There are 2 major reasons it's important to practice your own feelings and reactions. Oh, wait. No, sorry. There are 2 major reasons it is important to practice knowing your own reactions and feelings.
The first reason is raising children is stressful. Every person may struggle at times because no one is perfect. The reality of life is that all of us have experienced or will experience difficult or stressful events. Our own childhood experiences can greatly impact the ways in which we react or respond to stress. This happens especially in our interactions with our children. Depending on the frequency and our severity of these experiences, it can also have a negative effect on our physical health and emotional well-being. The Adverse Childhood Experience Study has shown that events such as divorce, growing up in a high conflict or violent home, parental incarcerations, substance abuse, or physical and sexual abuse can have a lifelong impact on a person's physical health, their ability to cope with stress, and even their relationships with their children and others. If you are interested in knowing more about the ACEs study, you can check out the video link below.
The second reason it's important to practice knowing your own feelings and reactions is because the emotions you are showing another person are like a game of ping pong. Whatever you ping to them, they pong right back to you. So whatever emotion or energy you are showing them, they will respond equally. If at any point today or throughout our times together, you feel like you need more support beyond what you are learning here, please feel free to approach us after class through an email or reaching out to someone at your center about Smart Connections. I can help connect you with additional resources.
We're going to go into objective number 1 now. I'm going to explain a way for you to think about what you are showing others and what they are showing you. Think about your brain as a car. There are 3 parts of your brain: the frontal lobe, the limbic system, and the brain stem. There are also 3 parts of a car: the front seat, the back seat, and the trunk.
The front seat is your thinking brain. This is where you're able to problem solve. This part regulates your emotions and aggression. Everyone, including children, learn how to make the best decisions and choices in this part of the brain. The need in this part of the brain is stimulation. Stimulation is achieved not only by being exposed to enriching environments like school, but also by engaging in interest with others, capitalizing on teachable moments, and discussing feelings with others. An instance of being in your front seat or a child being in their front seat is you go home and read a book to your child at bedtime, and they respond by asking a ton of questions, and they're so excited about what you just read. They are stimulated by the information that you gave them and by the story that you told.
The back seat is your feeling brain. This is where our feelings and emotions store both positive and negative. Memories are stored here. It's not always a bad thing to be in the back seat. It is a good thing to be excited and happy when we see a loved one we haven't seen in a long time. It also protects us when we feel nervous or if we feel in an unsafe situation. The need in this part of the brain is connection and or relationship. We create connection by giving eye contact, being respectful, and tuning in to others.
An example of being in the back seat is you promised your kid you guys are going to go out to eat, but you're not able to go because of work or just because money doesn't allow it. Your child would be in the back seat, crying, upset, and then you might be in the trunk, which is what we're going to talk about next.
The trunk is your survival brain. This is the part of the brain that is activated during stress, trauma, chronic adversity. This is where our alarm system goes off with a fight, flight, or freeze response. The fight response looks like hyperactivity, aggression, opposition, lying, and limit testing in children. The flight response involves running away, avoiding, and isolation. In freeze mode, in a child, you'll see daydreaming, forgetfulness, shutting down, being still, and just looking out of it. The need in this part of the brain is safety. Safety is achieved through consistency, routine, reassurance, and congruency. Congruency is when your actions match your words. An example of being in the trunk is your child may be tiptoed to the living room in the middle of the night to play a video game. All of a sudden they hear your voice and they just freeze because they know they might be in trouble. So this child in this instance would be in the freeze mode of the trunk.
Okay, Bree. Your child just came home from school and she is so excited because she got an invitation to her friend's birthday party. Where do you think your child is in the car?
That's a tricky one. She could be in the back seat because she's so full of emotions, excited and happy that she's been connected with friends. Or she could be in the front seat, depending on how well she's able to regulate her emotions.
I love that.
You're walking down the street and a large dog walks out towards you. Without thinking, you start running to the nearest building. What part of the car are you in?
Bree, I'm pretty sure I would be in the trunk. Large dogs are scary. Oh, this is a good one. You receive your child's report card from school. Their teacher reports that your child sits quietly in class, completes all their assignments, and works well with their peers. I'm going to change the question. Where are you in the car, Bree?
Ooh, good question. I most likely would be in the front seat. Next one, are you ready? It's time to leave for school in the morning. And when you ask your child to head to the car, they begin to scream and kick and cry and throw themselves on the floor. What part of the car are you and your child in?
We are both very quickly going to end up in the trunk, but for different reasons. I'm going to be in fight mode. My child is going to be in flight. So the trunk would apply to both of us.
Good job.
Today's day and age, it's a little harder to get that self-care and those things that make us feel good inside. Something that really makes me feel good is a really good, tight hug. It's hard to get hugs right now, though, because we're social distancing. So what you can do for yourself and also teach your child is how to do a self-hug. So I'm going to scoot back a little bit so you can see me, and then me and Bree are both going to show you what a self-hug looks like. Now, make sure when you're doing the self-hug that you look into the eyes of the other person so that there's some connection, and then you'll go into hugging yourself. All right, let's give it a try. All right. So, man, I really need a hug. That feels better.
All right, so that is the end of our first objective in our first series of Smart Connections. I hope you enjoyed it, and this will get you ready for our next session objective, our next objective with Tawani and Todd. See you next time.
Hi, my name is Todd Apple. I'm one of your Smart Connections coaches. And this is my partner who's going to introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Tawana Shelton, your Smart Connection coach.
We're going to go over Objective 2, which is called Caregivers Will Learn the Importance of Managing Their Emotional States. Now that you understand the brain is a car that we have back here, the front seat, back seat. Let's go over why it is so important to practice managing your emotions. Think of it this way. Flight attendants remind caregivers that if the airplane cabin loses pressure, you should apply your oxygen mask first and then your child's. They say this because a caregiver without oxygen is likely to pass out before getting the child's mask in place. Therefore, we say, take care of yourself first in order to care for your child. In order to be an effective caregiver, adults need to manage their emotional state. Remember the ping pong analogy? They will take their cues from you and soak up everything you are giving them. Your child is going to meet you right where you are in the car. Think of how you respond to someone who is angry or frustrated. Is it easier or more difficult to stay calm and focused? I'm going to turn this next part over to Ms. Twani.
Thank you, Todd. Let's talk about what makes it difficult for you to stay calm and focused. What pushes your buttons? By buttons, we mean attitude or behavior that you see in your child that causes an emotional reaction in you. Many of you are aware of certain attitudes or behaviors that can get under your skin. You find yourself reacting rather than responding to the needs of your child. We all have buttons or triggers that when pushed will provide an emotional or behavioral reaction that may be inappropriate to that situation. However, not everyone has the same ones. We may be unaware of those buttons until they are pushed and an emotional reaction occurs. It is helpful to be aware of those things that get under our skin so that we are better able to stay in our front seat and meet our child's needs. This is not always easy to do. Let's make a list of those buttons that we experience from our children. For example, whining, talking back, screaming, rolling of the eyes, sighing, scowl, or non-response. Now I'll turn this back over to Todd.
Part of creating more awareness about how to stay in the front seat is to focus on ourselves. Focusing on our thoughts, our feelings, and our body language can help us be more aware of when we're heading to our back seat or trunk. Let's make a list of what we as adults look like when we have our buttons pushed. These are our cues like our volume, tone, facial expression, and body language. So some of the things that we came up with were, for adults, are waving arms, raised voice, possibly screaming, lowered eyebrows, redness in the face, frown, scowl, non-response, or one-word response. It kind of makes us look a little bit crazy. We have also noticed that some of our, what we look like when our buttons are pushed are the very things in our child that push our buttons. This is something to keep in mind. And we're going to look at a few questions here, and I want you to think about this as if you're a child seeing this. What does it feel like when an adult is in front of you with this reaction? What do you feel in your body when this happens? Your heart rate, your breathing, your muscle tension. What does it feel like to be an adult and have this voice effect? Are you sad, mad, or scared? What are you thinking about when you feel this way? What makes us more vulnerable to having our buttons pushed? So this concludes Objective 2, And stay tuned for Objective 3, and we hope that you tune in for that. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch our video.
Thank you.
What other actions, attitudes, or behaviors push your buttons? Make a plan for how you will handle those button pushers in the future.
Objective 3, the importance of self-care. Self-care is taking care of your mind and your thoughts, taking care of your physical health and body, increasing your own well-being through self-care behaviors, taking care of your spiritual health, and taking care of your emotions. We have learned the importance of managing our emotional states. Now we're going to spend some time focusing on ourselves, specifically on how we can regulate when we feel our buttons being pushed. There are many things we can do to regulate. Whether you know it or not, you already practice many self-care skills. Some of you may take deep breaths when you begin to feel overwhelmed or tense, which is a quick, simple way to help us relax. What are some things you can do when you notice you need a break? So these are some in the moment self-care activities that you can do while sitting at your desk or at home. Laughing. Laughing is always good. It helps relieve stress levels and improve the mood. Close your eyes. By closing your eyes for a few seconds and imagine yourself in a happy, quiet place. Close your eyes and imagine that happy place, whether it's on a beach or a nice, quiet room. Okay. Moving on. Stretching. Stretching for 30 to 60 seconds. You can go from sitting to standing or just reaching for the sky. Or if you're at home, you could sit down on the floor like she's doing and just stretch and just relieve all that tension and all that stress. Good job. Give yourself a hug right now. Really stop what you're doing. Wrap your arms around yourself and hug yourself tightly. Appreciate all that you're doing, all who you love, and all which you have. So give yourself a big hug. Other breathing techniques are blowing bubbles or pinwheels, squeezing your muscles together for a count of 5 and then relaxing them. Open positions, doing the opposite of what you normally do. Say your kid is misbehaving, and instead of yelling, try to talk to them in a calm, rational voice. Sometimes just walking away, getting your thoughts together, and then coming back can help. Putting lotion in the palm of your hands and then um, just gently rubbing your fingers and rubbing that lotion all to your end of your fingertips. And last but not least is mantra, just positive talk. A short or small saying you may say to yourself, I can do this. It's not as bad as it seems.
Thank you, Michelle. Knowing that changing just one thing can make such a difference, let's make a plan for one thing you will do differently in the moment and one thing you can practice long-term to keep your tank full. If you have an index card handy, like I do, or a piece of paper, or just take a mental note, it's going to be a quick activity. You can jot this down later, but please feel free to do this activity along with me. On the index card,
on one side, think of a trigger, something that you know always brings stress and anxiety. For me, when my children were younger, my son he took a lot of time in the morning and we were perpetually late, and I would get anxiety in the evening just anticipating what it was going to be like in the morning. So on my card, I started by writing a clock. When I'm late for things, I know that's going to be a trigger for me. So Michelle gave us a whole list of activities, and all of those were helpful. Actually, my new favorite one is a hug, but knowing that that might not do it in the morning, I have drawn a little picture of a hand to remind myself to take five seconds before I respond. We were getting in a negative spiral of him, what I interpreted as dragging his feet or making us late or not being ready, and then me reacting, which would make us later. So what I was doing was not working at all. Like Michelle mentioned, having to pre-think about something that you would do in the opposite. So my new strategy would be to count to 5 in my head before I responded, or maybe just not even respond at all, and then the next day put some systems in place to help alleviate that. All right, so here's my little example of a hand. And then this is something that I could post in the kitchen or keep in a pocket, or just the idea of doing it can visually help you remember. So thank you for doing that along with me. All right. It can be really easy to forget to do these things. Sometimes it might seem like self-care is something extra we do when it's really something we need to be doing all the time to manage ourselves. We are more likely to be able to respond rather than react when we use self-care. Responding means taking time when we choose words and actions, where reacting is more of a backseat or a trunk behavior. Michelle presented a comprehensive list of in-the-moment techniques. Now I would like to share some additional preventative self-care skills that you can fill your tank with to avoid running out of gas. These are ways to build in everyday healthy habits to take care of yourself. And the first one, so I like to doodle and draw. That's actually a strategy for me. I went ahead and just drawn them out. The first one, to remember to eat healthy. Give yourself and your family good, healthy options at home. Eating well and staying hydrated really helps. And exercising to shift our energy. It can be as little as 7 minutes a day. You could take the stairs, park a little bit farther at work so you get a little walk in, take the kids to the park. All those activities help. Remember to take time with your own friends, not just planning life around your children and their friends. Remember who brings you joy, what adults you need to surround yourself with to really raise your energy level. Sleep is so necessary. There are so many times in my life I tried to get by with too little sleep, and I always regret it. We need a certain amount of sleep. Everybody's a little bit different. It's something to experiment with, but it's absolutely not anything to skimp on. That will really help your emotional energy. I think I mentioned drinking more water as well as eating well. Read a book. Just turn off the noise that's around us in our environment. Also, the noise in our head. A book can help us reshift that. Take a walk, get some fresh air. Research says even 5 minutes, a few minutes outside in nature to listen to the sounds around us, feel the sun, feel the rain, whatever's going on out there can really shift our energy and our mood. Adding some time for daily reflection in a journal, or like I just did, jotting these little notes down to help me remember, that can be a form of letting your negative thoughts and feelings go, being ready for responding instead of reacting. Listening to your favorite music. Planning ahead. Thinking about what your schedule's like every day and how busy you are can only make things seem more busy. If you have an opportunity to plan a vacation or a weekend or just an evening or a morning to yourself that can really help you refocus your energy. So plan for not just your to-do list, but plan ahead for something fun that you like to do, that you know you will enjoy. As I mentioned, drawing, coloring, doodling, you don't have to be good at it for it to bring you joy. There's great coloring books and pages if you don't like to draw or you don't feel comfortable with that. And also, just don't be afraid to pick up the pen, write your thoughts. It helps release that energy. And Michelle mentioned using scented lotion. The idea of giving yourself a little massage can really help. Also, bringing positive scent will reactivate some good memories too that help in the future. And then finally, last but not least, lighting a candle. Some of us might use that to bring in some positive energy. If you're religious, if you're spiritual, even if you're not, just the visual of lighting a candle is really peaceful, brings down the energy level and raises up your mood. So now Michelle has an activity that she's going to share with us that you can keep with you handy when you need some self-care. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Nancy. So, okay, you will need some rice, a sock, and a rubber band. And what you will do is insert the rice inside the sock and rubber band the sock up, and you will have a little squeeze ball. You can use it just to squeeze and just to release that stress when you're feeling stressed. You also can heat the sock for 10 to 15 seconds, then apply the right sock to the neck and just release the stress from the neck. Feel the heat. That should also help you to relax. You can lie down and apply the right sock to your forehead. Close your eyes for relaxation. Also think of that nice, happy place while you're relaxing with it on your head. You can use the right sock anywhere on your body that may feel stress or tension. Hold and place the right sock for sensory stimulation or for comfort. Lie down and place the right sock on your feet to relax. Sometimes we're standing on our feet all day and then you have to leave work and go to the grocery store, so those feet are really aching. So place that warm sock on your feet and then place the right sock, in the freezer for a half an hour and use it for swollen muscles, your neck, your back, whatever. So that's our activity for objective 3, self-care.
Thank you, Michelle. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Would you like more information? Email us a brief message with the best way to contact you. Our email is smartconnections@headstart.ywca